Hi everyone. I wanted to check in with a short video on the third opera of the Ring cycle, Siegfried, which I recently had the opportunity to see performed by Washington National Opera at Kennedy Center. I saw this opera on May 4th, 2014. Here is the playbill. Ta-da! Showed this in the other videos. If you've seen those, here is the cast. Not going to list it. I'm not going to go through them verbally, just mainly because of time. But it was a great cast of singers. The conductor was Phillippe Auguin, and the director was Francesca Zambello. So let's get to it. So what is Siegfried about? So when we left off the last opera, The Valkyrie, Brunhilde had disobeyed Wotan. Siegmund had been killed. The sword had been broken. Sieglinde survived, and at the pleading of Brunhilde to the other Valkyries had whisked her off to safety in a forest far away from Wotan, and she took with her the broken sword. So, in punishment, Brunhilde was banished to a mountaintop to go to sleep, only to be awakened years later by a hero who would be brave enough to go through the ring of fire that had been placed around her, burning on her mountaintop. So that's where we pick up Siegfried. So Siegfried, so he's living out in the middle of nowhere. He is a grown guy now, about a young man, and he has been, we come to find out, was found or taken as an infant from Sieglinde, who apparently died in childbirth, and so he took Siegfried in, and along with the broken sword, and he has been trying to repair the sword pretty much ever since, but he's unable to. You may remember Mima from, or I might not have mentioned it in the video about Das Rheingold, but Mima is the brother of Alberic, who is the Nibelung who originally stole the gold and had the ring made, and Mima was sort of worked in a metalsmith and did the work of turning the gold in the Rheingold into the ring itself, the Ring of Power, as well as he created the Tarnhelm, which is that helmet thing that you can wear that changes your shape at will. So, what Mima has planned to do, though, is to raise Siegfried to then use this sword, which is still broken, to kill Fafnir, who is the giant who wound up with the ring in the first opera, and the Golden Horde, and the Tarnhelm, and has since then been holed up in a lair in the form of a dragon. So, Mima has raised Siegfried sort of really in total ignorance. At one point, Siegfried sings, he would have never even learned how to talk if he hadn't forced Mima to teach him how to speak, because he just wasn't brought up in any kind of way of learning anything, because Mima really only had him around in order for him to go and kill the dragon and take the ring back. So he's, at this point though, he's a young man, he's restless, he wants to learn more about the world, and one thing he realizes is he does not know fear. So he's like this ultra hero type that doesn't know fear, and so Mima says, "Oh, I know who can teach you fear, the dragon, so let's go." So he's like, okay, so they set out. Well, Mima, of course, he has other plans. He has concocted this poisonous potion that his plan is that once Siegfried, who he recognizes as being the son of Siegmund and Sieglinde, and therefore heroic, and doesn't know fear, that he would be able to kill the dragon for Mima, because Mima knows he can't do it. Then he would then poison. He would give Siegfried this poisonous drink to drink, which he assumes that Siegfried will take, because he's so naive that he will just mindlessly take it. And so, that was his plan all along. So they set off to go to to kill the dragon because, like any good hero, Siegfried cannot, resist that temptation. So they, in the meantime, Wotan has been wandering the earth. He's now known as the Wanderer, and he has had a conversation with Alberic, who is the dwarf who, the Nibelung dwarf who stole the ring in the first place, and also the brother of Mima. He tells him about what Mima's plans are, and Alberic is like, so he's thinking of a way to then get the ring from Alberic. So everyone's kind of jockeying around trying to figure out how to get the ring. So in the process, then they will awaken, Fafnir the dragon, and so Siegfried then and Mima come to where the dragon is, and so Siegfried hears this bird, and he tries to start communicating with this little forest bird, and he can't communicate with it, so he makes a little flute, toots on a little flute, and the bird can't understand, and then he blows on his horn that he has, which is sort of his leitmotif in the music. It's this horn sound, and it ultimately still can't communicate with the bird, but it does rouse Fafnir out of his lair, and he comes charging out, in the form of this dragon. Or in the production I saw, it was this mechanical kind of device that was kind of dragon-esque, sort of maybe like an exoskeleton, and Fafnir was inside this, kind of operating it. But anyway, he is able to defeat Fafnir and kills Fafnir and takes possession of the ring and the Tarnhelm, leaving the gold there, because it doesn't seem to have value to him, because he actually doesn't value really gold and things like this, because he's, an ultimate hero. He's a hero. He really only values, heroic quests. So that's sort of his thing, I think. So anyway, after he killed Fafnir, he had some blood on his hands, and he puts it in his mouth, so he gets a little taste of the dragon blood. And after he has this taste of the dragon's blood, he is able then to understand birds, which is really convenient, because this little forest bird then tells him, "Oh, don't trust Mima, because he's planning on poisoning you." And sure enough, Mima comes up and "Here, drink, have a drink for you," and so they get into it, and Siegfried ends up killing Mima, and then he's like, why? He goes into this sort of state of remorse that, he's an unloved person. No one loves him. He doesn't have any friends. He's lonely, etc. And the forest bird says, "Hey, I know where you could find a girlfriend. She's asleep on a mountaintop. You'll have to go through a ring of fire to get her, though." And he's like, "Oh, okay, that sounds good." So they head out to go find Brunhilde on her mountaintop. Well, meanwhile, Wotan, now known as the Wanderer, has this conversation with Erda, the earth goddess, or she's not really a goddess, the earth spirit. Erda, he wakes her up out of this deep sleep that she's been in, and she has been oblivious to what's been going on, but he wakes her up and explains the situation to her, and that, the world's gone out of balance since this ring has appeared, and she tried to tell him actually in the first opera that the ring would be the undoing of the gods. She says the only person that can help him is Brunhilde, and he says, he explains to her what's happened to Brunhilde, and she's like, huh? She's like, she's, shocked because she didn't know, and she's actually Brunhilde's mother. She's all the Valkyries' mother. So she's like, "Well, I can't help you," and she disappears. And Wotan tells her, "I'm going to leave the world to Siegfried," because he's kind of, I think, given up power. He's realized that it's futile, and he's just kind of waiting on the end at this point. And as he's leaving there, he actually runs into Siegfried, and Siegfried doesn't know who he is. He thinks he's just an old man. He totally treats him with disrespect. Get out of my way. And Wotan's there, with his spear the spear from the world ash tree, that his powerful spear that he's carried since the first opera, and they get into it, and Siegfried, who has remade the sword. I don't know if I said that so Siegfried actually worked and got the sword remade, and that's how he killed the dragon. I might have missed that, but he has this sword remade anyway. He has his father's sword, Sigmund's sword, and he hits Wotan's spear, and it shatters the spear that comes from the world ash tree. So the audience, I knew, oh, this can't be good, because this is what's held the universal law together, really, since the beginning of the operas, the beginning of the time of the gods. So anyway, Wotan leaves. We actually never see him again, but Siegfried ends up going to the mountaintop and awakening, going through the fire and waking up Brunhilde. So it's and of course they fall instantly in love with each other. So a couple of things takeaways I had from this opera, before I lose time. I saw, this is the first performance of The Ring I've seen live, but I had seen a streaming version from the Metropolitan Opera of New York, from a 2011 production, a different production than this one. And I had a really hard time at that point with Siegfried's character and really trying to understand it, because he's really childlike and naive in a lot of ways, and he really only sees adventure and fighting. And then I realized, he's really the ultimate hero, like sort of like an Achilles type figure, which is a human god kind of hybrid figure. So he doesn't see the world anywhere in the same vein as a normal man. He's only sees the world really through heroic terms. So otherwise he comes across as very childish, because he doesn't know anything about the world. He only knows this heroic adventure and glory type view. So that took me a while to understand, but I think I really, once I came to terms with who his character was, and that's how I interpret his character, for right or for wrong, I think I really, understood him a little bit better. So I enjoyed that. And the other thing was, at the very end, I'm going to run out of time, so I'm going to be real quick. He really does learn fear at the end, because when he wakes up Brunhilde, he's really apprehensive, because he's never seen a woman before, actually. So because he's been so sheltered, he's lived in the middle of nowhere. And so he's actually afraid. So he actually does learn a bit of fear. That's kind of, that was my take on it. He kind of learns what fear is then when he falls in love with her, because she's an unknown to him. And I think he feels somewhat vulnerable, having met her. And then likewise, when she wakes up, she's no longer an immortal god. She is now waking up. To her, it was just yesterday that she was put to sleep by her father Wotan on that mountaintop, but it's really been 20 years. And sure, there's a hero who woke her up, but she has to come to terms. So she has a bit of an existential crisis about who she is now. She's very happy to have met, that it's Siegfried who has saved her. So therefore, she's bound to him, and he is heroic, and that's what she had asked from Wotan at the end of the previous opera. But she just, it's to me, it was really illustrative of the human condition, of where you find yourself in a new day where everything has changed for you, and it takes a while to get your bearings. And sure, yeah, she had love, she had this man that she loved, but then at the same time she had to come to terms with who she was now, and it was a different person. So I thought that was just, I really took away a lot from that, that last scene between Brunhilde and Siegfried. So I think I'll leave it at that. There will be another video coming up concerning the last opera, the fourth opera of the Ring cycle, Götterdämmerung, which is the Twilight of the Gods. So that's coming up, so stay tuned. See you then. Bye.